everyone, this is Joan and Callie from Q&A, a podcast by President Lincoln's Cottage.
While we're talking to all of our experts for the show, we sometimes end up with interesting bits that don't quite fit in the main episode, but we don't think that should keep you all from hearing them.
This bonus episode accompanies episode 8.1, Which Chimney Did Santa Come Down? So if you haven't listened to that one yet, it might be a good place to start.
Ken Turino, who researches Victorian Christmases, told us about a couple other things that were different from present-day celebrations.
Yeah, so if you listen to Clement Moore's poem, you will see that he has Santa, filling the stockings. And there are other publications a little bit earlier, that was 1823, that have illustrations of stockings. So they were there. Now our American Christmas drew from many different traditions, so St. Nicholas and the Knickerbockers, the Dutch, are contributing that. They're also contributing stockings to this story. So from the 1820s on, I have accounts of people having stockings by their fireplace, expecting Santa Claus to come down the chimney and bring good boys and girls gifts. But if you weren't so good, there's also accounts and illustrations of little boys and girls crying because they got coal or they got a switch in their stocking. So yeah, stockings were pretty early, as was decorating discreetly with greenery. But I have found instances of wreaths and some decorating happening early in the 19th century, and it just gets more and more. A lot was actually centered in churches, and I have lots of accounts from the early 1800s of people talking about the church being all decorated. And later on, I have illustrations from the 1850s with churches being decorated. And it starts, becoming more prevalent in houses, but it does depend on where you were in this country too. As I said, New Englanders, that Puritan, it was outlawed in 17th century New England for a short period, but it was outlawed. But the Puritan ethic kept that feeling going for a long time. But if you're in Virginia, it was party time during the holidays. And that could go on for several weeks over the whole season to New Year's with parties and balls. It really depended on where you were.
Our Director of Preservation, Jeff Larry, told us a little more about the design specs of the cottage chimneys, plus his adventures in taking care of them.
So if you look up at the cottage roof, you will see 6 masses coming out of the roof at different locations. And on top of these masses, if you see 3 distinct flues, that means there's a fireplace on the second floor, the first floor, and the basement. If you look up and you see 2 distinct flues, that means there's a fireplace on the second floor and the first floor. And if you look at the original 1842 section of the cottage, there's another interesting feature on the tops of those, and those are the chimney pots. So these are long clay pots that extend the height of the chimney. So the higher the chimney, the better the draft. And the draft is that flow of hot, smoky air that comes from whatever the room is up the flue and out the top. Now, these chimney pots have on the top of them, on either side, small holes, maybe like 4 or 5 inches in diameter. And they do a couple of things. That's where the smoke exits, but they prevent wind from going back down the flue and pushing that smoky air. But they also do something else that's kind of neat. So these small holes actually help force the air out faster. And Downing, like all things with Gothic Revival, he has a lot to say about the design of flues, like 4 pages about the design of flues. And actually, when the cottage was restored, the exterior back in 04 and 05, they lined all of the chimneys. They rebuilt one of them, and then they relined all of them, and that was to provide some structural support for the inside brickwork. So I did crawl up inside one once, just because I wanted to see what it looked like. It's pretty large. You can get up inside there.
This means that Jeff's hypothesis about which chimney Santa would fit down comes from personal experience.
Thanks for listening, and we always appreciate it when you tell a friend about the show. We'll see you again with our next full episode.
This episode was produced by me, Joan Cummins, with Callie Hawkins, Haley Bryant, and additional support from the President Lincoln's Cottage team. Music for Q&A was written, performed, and is copyrighted by Clancy Newman.
Q&A is made possible by listeners like you. You can support the show by joining Team Lincoln at lincolncottage.org, where you can also check out our other online and in-person programming. You can reach us at podcast@lincolncottage.org.
President Lincoln's Cottage is a home for brave ideas. Stay curious.